Hello there, it's Derek again here in South Wales, beautiful part of the world. So if you ever come to the UK, please enjoy yourself here in South Wales. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about a rather difficult subject, and it's about smoking, and then I'll move on to triggers. Now, smoking, I know you don't all smoke, and I have done work within the scientific community, and many of them will say, they readily agree, that not all COPD is caused by smoking. There's many other reasons why you can get COPD, but for some, we do get it through smoking. But whatever, if you get COPD through another cause, then smoking will almost certainly make it worse, and your lungs will deteriorate at a much faster rate, and unfortunately you'll die much sooner. There's a Google site which says you've got 5 years to live if you get COPD, which is, to me, is a load of rubbish. I've had it 31 years, but if you smoke, it might actually come true. Now, myself, I got COPD, I've been told by a doctor, because I had whooping cough when I was a baby. Now, I never realised I had whooping cough as a baby. I had to ask my parents, did I have whooping cough as a baby? Yes, I did. Well, I certainly didn't remember it. I was a little baby in arms. But it damaged my lungs, and later on, as life went by, I lived in London, and I had a taste of the yellow smokes, as they call it, the pea super fogs, if you like. And as I got older, I got sarcoidosis when I was in my 20s, which actually scarred my lungs. But stupid me, I smoked. Now, I smoked enough to get a hacking cough, and I thought, well, it's a smoker's cough. But you know, I learnt later that there's no such thing as a smoker's cough. If you're coughing like that, you've invariably damaged your lungs. You've got lung damage, and that's the reason you're coughing. You're getting bronchitis. And a bit like COPD, every time you cough, every time you get an infection, you're doing some damage to your lungs, which will eventually lead to COPD. I already had COPD. Now, it got so bad I could cough, and at home I woke up one morning, sat by the bed, coughed and passed out, because my brain just simply wasn't getting enough oxygen. This was purely through smoking. But one thing became clear after I went on holiday with my wife to a holiday camp in the southwest of England, was that I had to pack up, because I got an infection and I couldn't walk now. Believe me, I went 10 paces and I had to stop. And I didn't have to stop just for a few seconds, I had to stop for a few minutes. Can you imagine that? 10 paces, stop for a minute or two, 10 paces, stop for a minute or two. Well, I really was crippled, and this was some years ago, this was. I could see that I just wasn't going to survive much longer. I thought, I could see that my death was around the corner, unless I packed up smoking. And then I thought about my family, I thought about the grief that I was giving them through my own actions. I thought, well, if I have this, if I die through smoking, it's my fault, and I have brought all this grief onto them. So I stopped it, and I quit smoking. Now, first of all, I quit using patches. We get them here in the UK, you get them all over the world. Nicotine patches. You start on in my case, on a big one, and they get smaller and smaller, and then eventually you're free of smoking. Now, it did work. I packed up for about 18 months, I think, at the time, and then I relapsed and I started again. Stupid me. The hacking cough came back, and after a few weeks of getting off the wagon, if you like, I decided to pack up again, and that's when I went cold turkey. And you know, I found it easy, so easy to quit. I couldn't believe how easy it was, and I just don't crave at all for a cigarette, and I save an awful lot of money, and I'm healthier. I got rid of the cough disappeared almost straight away. My breathing became a little bit better. Of course, I still got COPD and I do use oxygen now, but my lungs actually stopped deteriorating. Now, when I was smoking, my lungs were deteriorating fast. My FEV1 was shooting down. In the last 10 years, my FEV1 has held. Now, although my FEV1 has held around 25% now for quite a few years, I've lost some of the other functions, which means that my lungs don't absorb oxygen so well, but I've got a lot more breath than I would otherwise have, and I'm pretty certain I wouldn't be here now if I hadn't quit. Now, if you want to live, if you want to be with your family for longer, if you smoke, do think about quitting, and certainly if you've got oxygen. It's crazy to smoke if you've got oxygen. I think, well, what's the use of smoking if you're on oxygen? Because you're taking the oxygen out of your body. Anyway, we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to triggers. Now, I have triggers, and the biggest trigger for me is gloss paint. And gloss paint to me is a bit like Superman and kryptonite. As soon as I smell it, I feel weak. I feel awful. I feel ill. I can't be around that. Before I got COPD, I used to do painting, and I used to feel a bit yucky when I painted then with gloss paints. Emulsion doesn't affect me. Water-based paints are fine. And I never really linked the two together, but now I can't be around it. I can't do it. And another trigger for me is weather. And it's no perfect weather, is there? If it's a high wind, it will affect me. If it's too hot, now for me, it's over about 30 degrees centigrade and above will affect me heat-wise. Now, if it's very humid, humidity affects me too. Anything above 25, if it's humid, will affect me badly. So heat, the main reason that heat will affect you badly is that the air is thinner, so therefore there's less oxygen in the air. I was surprised with that one, aren't you? It's a bit like climbing up a mountain, you're going a bit higher. The air is less dense, basically. Another reason why aircraft in a hot place need a longer runway to take off, to get airborne. The air is not so thick, not so dense. Now we go with a dense air, cold weather, that affects me badly too, really badly, cold weather. And unfortunately, here where I live, halfway up a mountain, we got snowed in 4 times last year, and the cold weather just keeps me in, so I have to find plenty to do indoors. If you do go out in the cold, make sure you cover yourself up. Wear a snood, I do. It's an all face thing. Don't breathe in the cold air through your mouth, because that will invariably shut your tubes down and make things much worse for you. Make sure you breathe in through your nose, and have a scarf or something over, because that will help to protect you. There's all sorts of triggers. As I said, it's cold weather. There's low pressure. That's another thing that affects me. We've got a storm coming in with low pressure. That will affect me. There's no such thing really as a perfect climate. There was the perfect climate. I suppose for me would be high pressure, sunshine, little wind, and about 25 degrees centigrade. That would be the perfect weather. It's not going to happen. We might get 1 or 2 days of it. Anyway, I've nutted on enough, and I'm going to go now, so I'll be back soon. Breathe easy and enjoy your day. Bye bye for now.